Her kitchen used to smell like food. Now it smells like paper. Bank statements, wire transfer receipts, second mortgage documents, foreclosure notices spread across every surface of the small San Jose condo she bought for retirement. She stands at the window and looks out over the balcony. "I tried to save the house," she says. "That is the only thing I have. All my money is gone to the scam." Her name is Margaret. She is in her 70s. She is a widow. She spent decades working, saving, and building a quiet and comfortable retirement for herself. And in the space of a few months, a man she met on Facebook took almost everything she had. Nearly $1 million gone. Her entire IRA retirement account wiped out. A $300,000 second mortgage she took out on a home she had already paid off completely, sent overseas. And she did not even realize it was happening until she asked an AI chatbot a simple question. That question saved her from losing another $1 million. This is the full story of Margaret Loke and the pig butchering scam that nearly destroyed her life. Before we get into what happened, you need to understand who Margaret is, because one of the most dangerous myths about scam victims is that they are naive, uneducated, or careless with money. Margaret is none of those things. She is a retired professional. She saved responsibly her entire working life. She owned her home outright, no mortgage, no debt. She managed her own IRA and planned carefully for retirement. By every measure, she was financially responsible. She was also a widow, living alone in a 2-bedroom condo in San Jose, California. Her husband was gone. Her daily life had become quiet in a way that was sometimes difficult to sit with. She was not desperately lonely, but she was human, and human beings are wired for connection. That is not a weakness. That is biology. And that is exactly what the scammers were counting on. It started the way so many of these stories start, through a trusted connection. In May 2025, a friend of Margaret's reached out and said she wanted to introduce her to someone, a nice man, someone worth talking to. His name was Ed. He said he was from Texas, a businessman of Chinese descent, the same cultural background as Margaret. He said he liked meeting people from San Jose, and just like that, a conversation began. Within days, Ed had moved the conversation from Facebook to WhatsApp, a platform with no public profile, no mutual friends, no outside visibility, just the two of them in a private channel. He messaged her every single morning. "Good morning. How did you sleep? I was thinking about you." He was warm. He was attentive. He listened carefully to everything she shared and remembered every detail. "He was really nice to me," Margaret said later. "Greeted me every morning. He sends me every day the message, 'Good morning.' He says he likes me." This is called love bombing, and it is not random kindness. It is a deliberate, calculated technique designed to create emotional dependency as quickly as possible. Every morning message, every compliment, every moment of feeling seen and chosen was scripted. Before we go further into Margaret's story, you need to understand the operation that was targeting her. Because pig butchering is not just a scam, it is a system. And understanding the system is what protects you. The name comes from a brutal metaphor. The scammer fattens the pig, building trust, building emotion, building a false sense of security, before slaughtering it completely. Every financial resource the victim has is extracted before the operation ends. Here is how the system works step by step. Step 1. Target selection. Scammers do not approach randomly. They research targets carefully. Widows and widowers are prioritized. Elderly individuals with retirement savings are prioritized. People who have recently experienced loss, who are living alone, or who post about loneliness on social media are specifically sought out. Margaret was a widow in her 70s living alone. She was, from the scammer's perspective, an ideal target. Step 2. The warm introduction. Victims are almost never approached cold by the scammer directly. Instead, the introduction comes through a trusted channel, a mutual contact, a wrong number text, a friend request from someone who seems to share your background and interests. In Margaret's case, a real friend introduced her to Ed. That friend was almost certainly not in on the scam. They were likely deceived too, or simply passed along contact details innocently. The warm introduction removes the victim's first line of defense, suspicion. Step 3. Building the relationship. This phase takes weeks or months. The scammer invests significant time and emotional energy establishing genuine feeling connection. Daily messages, shared stories, expressions of care and affection. The scammer studies everything the victim shares and uses it to deepen the bond. By the time money enters the conversation, the victim is not thinking of this person as a stranger. They're thinking of them as a partner. Step 4. The investment introduction. This is the pivot point. After weeks of pure romance, the scammer casually mentions cryptocurrency, not aggressively, just as a natural part of conversation. He talks about his own investments. He shares how well things are going. He expresses his desire to help her achieve the same financial security. He positions himself as generous and knowledgeable, someone who wants to share his success with her because he cares. Step 5. The small first investment. The scammer suggests she try a small amount, just to see the platform, just to understand how it works. He shows her a trading app. The interface looks professional and legitimate. She invests a small amount, and the app immediately shows profits. This is completely fabricated. The platform is fake. The profits are fake, but they look real enough to build confidence. Step 6. The escalation. This is where the operation accelerates. Each successful small investment is used to encourage a larger one. The profits on screen keep growing. The relationship keeps deepening. The emotional pressure intensifies. This is our future together. This is how we build a life. I want to see you financially free. The transfers grow larger and larger until everything the victim has is invested. Step 7. The freeze and the final demand. When the scammer has extracted everything accessible, the fake investment account suddenly freezes. There's a problem with verification, a tax issue, a regulatory hold. The only way to release the funds and the enormous profits now showing on screen is to pay one final fee. This fee is always larger than anything paid before. It is designed to extract whatever the victim can still borrow, beg, or access, and it is always the final blow. Step 8. The exit. Once the victim cannot pay more, the scammer disappears or turns threatening. The warm, loving person who messaged her every morning becomes cold, aggressive, and unreachable. This is the pig butchering playbook, and Margaret was walked through every single step of it. Now let us walk through exactly what happened to Margaret's money, because the detail here matters. This is not one large transfer that she should have caught. It is a slow, escalating series of transfers, each one psychologically engineered to feel reasonable in the context of what came before it. It began with $15,000. Ed had showed her the investment platform. He had shown her how it worked. He had demonstrated his own profits on screen. He told her to start small. Just try it. Just see. She wired $15,000 from her IRA account through Discover Bank into the online account Ed had set up, and the app showed profits almost immediately. She was encouraged. Then Ed told her she needed to increase her investment to reach their goal. Their goal, not his goal, their goal. He had already made this a shared project, a shared future. She wired $120,000. The profits on screen grew larger. Then $490,000. Her hesitation was real. She asked Ed why so much. He told her she had to keep investing to reach their $5 million target. He framed it as opportunity. He framed it as urgency. He framed it as love. Reluctantly, she sent it. Then the last $62,000 remaining in her IRA. Her entire retirement account was now gone. But Ed did not stop. He told her the account needed more to keep growing. She obtained a $300,000 second mortgage on her home, the home she had already paid off completely, the home that represented everything she had built, and she wired that too. In total, Margaret sent close to $1 million. And on the screen of the fake investment app, her account appeared to show $2.4 million in value, a fortune, everything she had ever worked for multiplied many times over. She wanted to withdraw it. That's when the account froze. When Margaret tried to access her money, the platform told her the account was frozen. Ed explained there was a regulatory issue, a verification problem. She needed to pay a fee to unlock the funds, $1 million. She didn't have $1 million. She had already sent everything she had. Ed's tone changed completely. The warm, loving man who messaged her every morning became someone else entirely. He called her repeatedly. He pressured her to borrow from friends. "You have to do it. You have to borrow from your friend." She told him her friends wouldn't loan her money. He left her a voice message. His tone was cold, threatening. "I don't want we be enemies. My lawyer's contact with you." He was threatening legal action against the woman he had just robbed of nearly $1 million. Margaret was terrified. She was confused. She was desperate. The account on screen showed $2.4 million that she could not access. She had borrowed against her home. She had emptied her retirement savings. And now the man she thought loved her was threatening to sue her. In that moment of complete desperation, she did something that changed everything. She opened ChatGPT. She described the situation, the relationship, the investment platform, the frozen account, the demand for $1 million to unlock her funds. ChatGPT's response was immediate. "No, this is a scam. You need to go to the police station right now." The AI identified the exact pattern. The romantic introduction from a stranger followed by an investment recommendation. The escalating transfer amounts are a known pig butchering pattern. The frozen account requiring additional payment to unlock is one of the most consistent and recognizable elements of pig butchering across thousands of reported cases. The threats that followed the refusal to pay are a known pig butchering pattern. All of it matched. ChatGPT told her clearly, "This is a scam. Go to the police now." That clarity, delivered without emotional involvement, without the psychological weight of months of shared history, was what Margaret needed to break through. A friend might have said, "Are you sure?" A family member might have been gentle. ChatGPT was direct, and that directness saved her from sending another $1 million. Here is the practical lesson. If you are ever communicating with someone online who has introduced you to an investment opportunity, paste your conversation into ChatGPT and ask it directly, does this conversation match the pattern of a known scam? You can also describe the investment platform, the withdrawal issues, the requests for additional payment. AI tools are exceptionally good at pattern recognition across large bodies of known fraud cases. They are not emotionally invested. They are not trying to spare your feelings. They will tell you the truth. That outside perspective, delivered quickly, privately, and without judgment, may be the most accessible fraud prevention tool that has ever existed. Margaret's story contains every red flag of a pig butchering scare laid out in sequence. Here they are clearly so you can recognize them before it's too late. 1. The warm introduction through a trusted contact. The scam did not start with a cold approach. It started with a friend passing along contact details. Always verify independently when someone new is introduced through a mutual connection online, especially if that person quickly wants to move the conversation to a private messaging platform. 2. The immediate move to WhatsApp or a private messaging app. The moment a new online acquaintance pushes the conversation off a public platform and into a private channel, your level of caution should increase significantly. 3. Daily affectionate messages from the very beginning. Real relationships develop at a human pace.
4. They share your language, culture, or background. This is not a coincidence in pig butchering operations. It is a recruitment strategy. Workers are specifically matched to targets based on cultural background because shared identity accelerates trust. 5. The investment opportunity appears naturally in conversation. He does not pitch you, he just mentions how well his investments are doing. He offers to show you how it works. It feels like generosity between people who care about each other. This is the most effective moment in the entire operation because it does not feel like a sales pitch. It feels like a gift. 6. The fake trading platform shows immediate profits. If an investment platform shows significant profits very quickly, especially one that was recommended by someone you met online, that should immediately raise serious concern. Legitimate investments do not guarantee quick high returns. The visible profits on a fake platform are designed purely to build confidence. 7. The account freezes when you try to withdraw. This is the most reliable single red flag of pig butchering. A legitimate investment platform does not freeze your account and demand a fee to release your own money. That is not how any legitimate financial system operates. The moment withdrawal is blocked and a payment is demanded to unlock funds, stop everything. 8. The pressure to borrow money. A genuine partner, a genuine friend, a genuine investment advisor will never tell you to borrow money from friends, take a second mortgage, or liquidate retirement savings to meet an investment deadline. The urgency is artificial. The deadline is fake. The pressure to borrow is the final extraction attempt. 9. Requests for secrecy. If someone encourages you to keep your relationship or your investment secret from the people who care about you, that is not protection, that is isolation. And isolation is the foundation of every step that follows.
Let us talk about what actually happened to Margaret's money once it left her account, because this is the part that most people never hear about. And understanding it is important, because it is the reason why recovery is so devastatingly rare. When Margaret wired her funds, they did not go to a single person sitting in a bedroom somewhere. They entered a sophisticated international criminal infrastructure designed specifically to make money untraceable and unrecoverable. The first stop was a bank account in Malaysia, but that account was almost certainly controlled by a money mule. A money mule is often an unwitting participant, someone who was told they were processing payments for a legitimate business, someone who was themselves deceived into allowing their account to be used. They receive the funds, take a small percentage, and immediately forward the rest. From there, the money moves rapidly through a chain of cryptocurrency wallets. It is converted from regular currency into Bitcoin or USDT or another digital currency, then passed through a series of wallets in rapid succession, a process called layering, until the original source becomes nearly impossible to trace. Each hop across a wallet and across a border makes recovery exponentially harder. By the time law enforcement becomes involved, which usually happens weeks or months after the initial transfers, the money has already crossed multiple international borders and passed through multiple hands. The criminal infrastructure on the other end is specifically designed to stay ahead of investigators. And the operation behind all of this is far larger and more organized than most people imagine. Pig butchering is not run by lone wolves. It is run by organized criminal enterprises, many of them operating out of compounds in Southeast Asia, particularly in Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos. These compounds employ hundreds or thousands of workers, many of whom are themselves victims. People who were trafficked to the region with promises of legitimate jobs, had their passports confiscated, and were forced to scam others under threat of violence. The workers operate in shifts. They are given scripts. They are trained in the psychology of manipulation. They manage multiple victims simultaneously using software that organizes their conversations and tracks every detail each victim has shared. This is an industrial operation, and it generated an estimated $75 billion globally in recent years. Margaret's story is devastating, but it is not unusual. In 2024, the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center reported that $9.3 billion was lost to online scams targeting American senior citizens alone. Not total scam losses, just senior citizens, just 1 year. Meta removed over 6.8 million WhatsApp accounts linked to pig butchering scams in a single cleanup operation in 2025. The U.S. Treasury sanctioned 19 entities across Burma and Cambodia for running scam operations that specifically targeted Americans, calling it not just financial fraud, but a form of modern slavery against the workers trapped inside the compounds. 1 in 3 Americans has encountered what researchers believe to be a pig butchering approach online. Most never realize it until it is too late. And here is the detail that should concern everyone most. These operations are increasingly targeting educated, financially sophisticated people, not because they are easier to fool, but because they have more to take: retirement accounts, home equity, investment portfolios, the savings of a lifetime built carefully over decades. Margaret lost not only her savings, but now faces a significant tax bill for withdrawing her entire IRA in a single year, a consequence she never anticipated and that adds further devastation to an already catastrophic loss. So why did this work? The answer lies in understanding exactly what the scammers were doing to her psychology throughout those months and how precisely it was engineered. The first weapon was loneliness, not desperate, obvious loneliness, just the ordinary human experience of living alone after losing a partner. Ed did not exploit a weakness. He exploited a need that every human being has, the need for daily connection, for someone who thinks about you, for someone who says good morning and means it. He manufactured that experience artificially, consistently, and convincingly. The second weapon was cultural familiarity. Ed presented himself as a man of Chinese descent, the same background as Margaret. He referenced San Jose specifically. He used cultural touchpoints that created an immediate sense of shared identity. This is not coincidence. Pig butchering operations specifically recruit workers who speak the target's language and share their cultural background, because that shared identity accelerates trust building dramatically. The third weapon was the fabricated investment platform. The fake trading app was not a rough approximation of a real platform. It was sophisticated enough to show real-time data, growing profits, and a professional interface. When Margaret saw her $15,000 investment show returns almost immediately, that experience was completely real to her. The emotional response of seeing your money grow, the excitement, the relief, the hope, is a powerful psychological anchor that makes it very hard to later accept that everything you were seeing was fabricated. The fourth weapon was the sunk cost trap. By the time Margaret had sent $490,000, she had already sent hundreds of thousands before it. Psychologically, the larger the previous investment, the harder it becomes to stop, because stopping means accepting that everything already sent is gone. Every new transfer is unconsciously justified by the size of the previous ones. This is not irrationality. It is a completely predictable human response to loss aversion that scammers exploit with precision. The fifth weapon was isolation. Throughout the operation, Ed encouraged secrecy. Keep our relationship private. Do not tell people about the investment yet. This is just between us. 77% of pig butchering victims are specifically encouraged to keep their investments secret from friends and family, because friends and family are the most likely source of the outside perspective that breaks the psychological hold. And the sixth weapon was the false future. Ed didn't just sell her an investment, he sold her a shared future, a $5 million goal, theirs together, a life being built for both of them. The investment was emotionally framed as an act of love and partnership.
Stopping it didn't feel like walking away from a bad financial decision. It felt like abandoning a relationship and a future. This is why we never blame the victim. Every single technique used against Margaret was deliberately engineered by professionals who study human psychology and have refined their methods across thousands of victims. Anyone is vulnerable. The only question is whether you were targeted.
Today, Margaret Loke faces a reality that is almost impossible to comprehend. Her retirement savings, the money she spent decades building, are gone. Her home, which she had paid off completely and planned to live in for the rest of her life, is now under a $300,000 mortgage she took out and sent to criminals. She faces a significant tax bill for withdrawing her entire IRA in a single year, and recovery of the funds, investigators say, is exceedingly rare once money has left U.S. banks and entered the international criminal infrastructure that received it. She stands at the window of her condo and wonders whether she will be able to keep it. She blames herself. "Why am I so stupid?" she said. "I let him scam me." She is not stupid. She was targeted systematically by a professional criminal operation that has refined its methods across thousands of victims and billions of dollars. The shame she feels is one of the cruelest final injuries these scams inflict because it discourages reporting, discourages seeking help, and isolates victims at the moment they most need support. If you know someone who has experienced something like this, the most important thing you can do is tell them the truth. This was not their fault. This was a deliberate, sophisticated attack. And their experience, shared openly, may be the thing that protects someone else. Margaret's story is already doing that. It was reported publicly in December 2025 and has reached millions of people who now know what pig butchering looks like, how it operates, and what to do if they encounter it. That is awareness in action, and awareness is the most powerful weapon we have. Romance scams and investment fraud are not slowing down. The operations running them are growing more sophisticated, better funded, and more psychologically refined every single year. Pig butchering alone is estimated to be a $75 billion criminal industry. But here is what is also true. Margaret asked one question and stopped the bleeding before it got worse. One question to an AI chatbot. That is all it took to break through months of psychological manipulation. Awareness travels faster than any scam. Every person who understands how pig butchering works is a person who cannot be walked through its steps without recognizing what is happening. And every person who shares that understanding protects someone else. If this video helped you understand something you did not know before, share it with someone you care about. Send it to a parent. Send it to a friend who is recently divorced or widowed, or who spends time on dating apps or Facebook. The person most at risk is almost always the last one who would believe they could be targeted. Subscribe to Fraud Intelligence for weekly breakdowns of exactly how fraud operations work and exactly how to stop them. Drop a comment below and tell us, had you heard of pig butchering before this video? Do you know someone who has been targeted? Your comment might be the one that makes someone else pause before sending that next transfer. Stay safe, stay alert. We will see you in the next one.